Alright, so today is December 21st, 2019, and I'm standing here in front of Toronto's Union Station. So as you can see, I have an action camera mounted on the front of my bike, and in this video I'm going to be riding north and giving a tour of University Avenue and Queen's Park Crescent. Alright, so we'll begin our way north, as I said, starting from Union Station, which is on Front Street. Union Station is Toronto's main railway station, and it's also the furthest point that the subway line, or any of the subway lines, go in Toronto. We've reached our first intersection here, which is Wellington Street West. Underneath where I'm riding is one of those subway lines. The subway line known as Line 1 goes north-south along Yonge Street, and then when it reaches Union Station, where we just were, it does a U-turn and it curves back and goes north again, and the road that it goes underneath of is University Avenue, the road that I'm on right now. The first station on that line is King Street, it's at King Street, which is just up ahead. The name of that subway station is actually St. Andrews. So interestingly, the subway stops that are along Yonge Street are called the same names as the streets that they're on, but to avoid confusion of having stations with the same names, they've given the streets, or the subway stations, different names over here on the university side of the loop. So we've now reached Adelaide Street West, which is a one-way street which goes in the east direction. Straight ahead of me you should be able to see a building with the pointy top on it, and the sign below that says Canada Life. That is the Canada Life building, which is one of Toronto's early skyscrapers, built in the 1930s, right around 1930. On the top of it, that point that's on the top, it actually acts as a weather beacon. It has lights on it, and depending on what those lights are doing, you'll be able to tell something about the forecast. Of course, that was installed in the 1950s, and weather forecasting technology has improved since then. So we're now approaching Queen Street, which is the second station on that subway line that's below us. This one is called Osgoode Station, and the reason that it gets that name is that this building, which is over on our right, on the other side of that fence, is called Osgoode Hall. Another landmark which we just passed that was kind of out of frame on our right side was the Four Seasons Centre, which is a theater venue which specializes mostly in operas and ballets. So as you can see, University Avenue is quite a wide boulevard. It has 4 lanes in either direction, and I guess at some points this outer lane that I'm in right now is used for street parking. So I don't actually ride along this road very often, mostly just because there's a parallel route to it along St. George and Beverly, which is a much quieter road, and it has bike lanes on it, so it's certainly preferable for riding a bike on. So it's a really nice sunny Saturday, and I thought it was a perfect opportunity to go and film a video riding around Toronto. Today is the 21st of December 2019, and the 21st of December is the shortest day of the year, and also the first day of winter, but it's actually feeling quite warm today under the sunshine. I think the temperature is hovering right around 0 degrees Celsius, so really quite pleasant for coming out for a bike ride. The roads are, almost completely dry and clean. So now this area which I'm approaching now is a part of University Avenue which is known as Hospital Row, and that of course is because there's many hospitals along here. Some of them affiliated with the University of Toronto. That one that you can see over on the first one you can see on the left is the Toronto Rehab Hospital, and the one after that is Mount Sinai, and there's also somewhere in here Toronto General Hospital, and the one on the right is Sick Kids Hospital, or the Hospital for Sick Children, short formed as Sick Kids Hospital. Alright, so we've got a green light, so we'll continue. That last intersection that we crossed back there was Dundas Station, or Dundas Street, which is where St. Patrick's Station is, underneath of us. And this street here I'm crossing is Gerrard Street, which is a street... Oh, got an ambulance, so I'll pull over and let it cross. Of course, you'd expect lots of ambulances around Hospital Row here. Alright, I'll proceed now. There has been talk of adding bike lanes to this road, which, of course, I'm supportive of adding bike lanes to just about any road, so I support that. This building that's over there on the left with all the glass, that is the headquarters of Ontario Power Generation, which is the government body that operates and maintains all the power generating facilities in Ontario, at least the publicly owned ones. We have 3 nuclear generating stations here in Ontario, and power is produced using other means like hydroelectric as well, of course wind and solar. But we don't have any coal-fired power plants in Ontario. They've decommissioned those gradually and they're now all gone. So the street that we're at here is now College Street, and actually this is where University Avenue technically terminates. Beyond here the road actually changes names and it's become known as Queen's Park Crescent, and the subway station that's underneath this intersection here is also named Queen's Park. So basically the road curves and goes around, like the branches off into 2 different pieces, and it goes around this building which is straight ahead and a park which is behind it. And the park is called Queen's Park, and the building, which is commonly also referred to as Queen's Park, it's actually the Ontario Legislative Building, or the Ontario Legislature, which is where the government of Ontario meets. And the reason I decided to do this video riding from south to north, riding in the north direction as opposed to south, which would have been easier for me because it would have been downhill and easier for me to talk while riding, was just so that I could give you that last shot there where you could see Queen's Park head on, like that. So yeah, we're wrapping our way around the Legislature building. So the southbound traffic on this road goes on the other side. So if you wanted to do a U-turn here, you wouldn't be able to, because all these 4 lanes beside me are all northbound lanes. The street that I'm about to cross here is called Wellesley Street. And Wellesley has a protected bike lane on it. And I've actually made a video before giving a tour of that bike lane, both Wellesley, which connects up to Harbour Street, and also a little section in the middle there which is called Hoskin. So now that I'm beyond the Legislature, over on the left, that land is part of the actual park, which is called Queen's Park, which appears to be a bit under construction right now. You can see some orange caution fencing around. And I should mention, many of the buildings which surround where I am right now, aside from the Queen's Park building, or the Legislature building, all the other buildings are part of the University of Toronto campus. All right, so here Queen's Park Crescent merges back together. But I think the street technically is still called Queen's Park, at least for the next block or so. And there's a subway station underneath where we are right now, and that subway station is called Museum Station. And the reason for that is because that large building over there on our left is the Royal Ontario Museum, also known as the ROM, R-O-M. And there's also a couple other, at least one other museum around here. The one over on our right side, that's called the Gardner Museum. And the street we're reaching now here is called Bloor Street, so we're at the intersection of Queen's Park and Bloor, and if we were to continue, this road changes names and becomes Avenue Road and continues as far as Highway 401. Alright, so that concludes my tour of University Avenue and Queen's Park Crescent in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'll look forward to reading your comments in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.